back to that graph again, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like the Westminster Abbey. And you know what happened to the light bulbs in the kitchen and the toaster? It blew out.
Wow.
And Deki Lee said, don't worry. The space is being cleansed. It is very high energy, and things will actually bust and needed replacement. Don't worry, go do it. So the instruments and things in that space behave differently, okay? So which brings us to this picture that, Carol, I know you've
Love
talked
this
about
one.
this.
Yeah, I have it on my computer on the top. Yep.
A week before the relics came to our home, it was in a Vietnamese temple.
Mm-hmm.
And this picture is very, very important and very relevant. There was a photographer, okay, in that relic tour to take pictures. And, you know, she had a brand new Canon camera, and she's taking pictures, and she was looking through the camera lens, being very upset and disturbed. So my brother approached her and said, "What's going on?" And she said, "When I look around the space, it looks normal, you know, the lights, the relics, and the flowers. I can see everything. But when I look in my camera, I see lights, I see things that are not there."
Right.
And my brother said, "Can I take a look at your picture, what you just took?" My brother immediately got it. He says, "Do not delete this picture.
Yeah.
Your camera is capturing something, because the space and the things contained in this space, your camera is now different. It is able to show people something unusual of the space itself." And here, look at this camera. And because of the PowerPoint, some of this is cut out, but you'll see on the lower left, there's a strong band. Oops, hang on. There's a strong band of gold, which then goes into a sharp band, and they're bright lights. And then it really goes into the sharp band, and it's blessing this nun.
Right.
He's making a water offering on the Buddha here. This is a Buddha of abundance, by the way. Okay, it's a water offering. She's pouring water, and she's holding the Buddhist way of saying hello. Okay, to her heart, she's got her fingers curled, but she's really holding her hand, her left, in namaste, namaste, and saying hello and offering Buddha some water, sacred water. This is with saffron. And look at these lights.
Wow, yeah.
And inside these lights are brighter lights. And when I showed it to Deki Lee Aldershaw, she said, "These are all the Buddhas blessing this nun." And if we had a very high resolution picture, there is the essence of each and every Buddha in this band of light.
Wow. Do you have that?
No, we did not have this was only that, photographer's pictures. But Deki said that if we had a really super duper camera, that you would have Shakyamuni, Ananda, Maudgalyana, Milarepa, Marpa, all of these Buddhas. There are 42 masters, and as the relic tour went, we have many more modern masters too. And I urge everybody again to get my book, that they will understand that this is happening now. The tour is not happening, but these relics are radiating their unconditional loving kindness all the time. And I'll tell you why as I talk.
Now, this one that's coming up here, like it's you can't see that, but the one that's coming up, from the table. And then when I looked and studied, there's other little ones starting to grow, just like it.
Yes, yes. And so you're right. So this next two pictures I've never shared in a talk. Carol, you're seeing these for the first time. They're quite private, but again, the camera is conditioned. Something about the instrument in that space where the Buddha relics are exhibited start to capture amazing things.
Wow.
So this is Amanda Karga. She's one of the other relic tour custodians. Mm-hmm. And in another relic tour, you can see people were taking pictures, and we don't say no.
Right.
We're allowed to, because Buddha is not belonging to you or me, or it is a universal theme.
Right. Look at
so
that.
So Amanda sent these pictures to us. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda is a custodian. She used to accompany the relic tour for some of its tour in North America. This is the young lady here. And she sent these to us. But look at these pictures.
I know. Wow.
Look at this.
This is so beyond orbs.
This is very beyond orbs, and orbs are part of it, okay?
Yeah.
Orbs are intelligent.
I mean, you know how you see, but yeah.
So what happens here? So here we are. The relics are in our space. It's like this, okay? And I took 11 tiller devices.
Wow.
I had 11 of them.
Uh-huh.
I ordered them.
Right.
And they came in a shipment from Arizona, from Walter Dibble. And so the question was this, and I got an intuition. It was my intuition. It wasn't really me. I remembered the day I jumped up and I told my brother, we have to imprint the tiller devices with the energy, the information when the relics are here. And you know, we don't even need permission. We don't need permission for this. In other words, we could imprint the relic, and if it doesn't work, then, you know, Buddha is saying, no, we're not ready for this.
Exactly.
So I took 11 tiller devices and imprinted them. Okay, hold on. I put them alongside the relics. They were just there, 11 of them under the table for the 3 days that they were there. They were just left undisturbed. I didn't do anything special. I didn't write an intention. The action of my willingness to put the devices there and with joy see what happens was all the intention that it needed. It didn't need please imprint the device. I didn't do anything. So do the Buddha relics change the physical gauge state? I mean, the gauge state is a physics term of the physical nature of the space. Mm-hmm. In other words, does the relics condition the space? And I told you it does within seconds. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need weeks and months.
Right.
Okay, it was within seconds. But here's the thing that I really wanted to test. Does the Buddha relic imprinted device now, it's called imprinted host device, IHD.
Yeah.
Does it change the water pH? And how fast does it do it? Okay, this is what we're going to look at now.
Okay.
So I take one of these devices, all right, tiller devices, it's with the relics, and I wrapped it with aluminum foil really to protect it from EMF, electromagnetic fields that we have from bulbs and and we have our own fields too. And I wanted to protect it, and I gave one to Dr. Tiller, and he says, okay, Nisha. I said, please check if this device, because subjectively to me, it felt like it changed the space like boom, like, a few seconds. It was super duper fast. This is amazing. And he said, Nisha, you're right. I think I see where you're going with this. Let's test it. And he had an unconditioned space, not his labs, because that's not you need a completely virgin space, if you will.
Okay.
He took the Buddha IHD, put the water pH next to it, and we watched, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. I was so upset. I remember saying, how can this fail? I know what I felt.
But doesn't it take time?
It didn't take time. It was a few seconds, remember?
Oh.
And we waited for a few weeks. Exactly. And this is what happened. And it came to me. It came to me on that Thursday. I will never forget it, because I'm washing the teapot to make tea. And I'm saying, why doesn't this work? And it came to me that the Buddha relics are not ordinary, and they're not at the Tiller level of consciousness.
Oh.
But the Buddha relics are so much higher that even the Tiller instruments cannot pick it up.
Wow.
Whoa. Whoa. So this is the problem with science. We think science is black and white and will pick up everything.
Right.
That your blood test tells you exactly. No, it's not like that.
Right.
Same in physics. The instruments have to be adequate. But here's what happened. I told that to Dr. Tiller. And at the same time, Jean Tiller also said, this is very odd, Bill. It should work. And she says, I think you need to specify an intention, write something for the Buddha relic imprinted device to show its thermodynamic potential.
Right.
So he did. Tiller wrote it. He said, we respectfully request the excess thermodynamic free energy. Remember, he's a physicist. He'll write physics language. We respectfully request excess thermodynamic free energy of the loving kindness be made manifest in this space so that we can measure its magnitude by the pH sensors. Now look at this, Carol.
It's so specific.
Not only that, but to me, he treated the IHD with utmost respect.
Right.
And he treated it as though it's alive and conscious.
Yes.
Do you see?
Yeah.
We respectfully, he treated the thing as if it's conscious. We treat our cars, our keys, our things so inanimately, so carelessly. No, we must stop that. This is a big lesson how Tiller, with caring, with great diligence, sensitivity, and then look what happened.
Wow.
So nothing is going on, okay? Nothing. I mean, expected by calculations. And look, when he wrote that intention, it was immediate.
Wow.
The guys at the lab says, Tiller, Dr. Tiller, what's going on? I'm going like this. And Tiller called me on the phone. Working, it's working. And I said, what's working? And he said, the pH meter went, it's going straight up. Look at this.
Wow.
Look at this.
Amazing.
Look at this graph. Look at the slope of that curve. It's just going straight up.
Wow.
And within 2 weeks, and in fact, we had our answer that this thing works. Okay. The space in that lab that was completely virgin, had never had any intention host device from Dr. Tiller or anyone else.
Right.
For the first time, had a Buddha imprinted relic device in it with the pH meter, and it just went off.
Wow.
Boom. In fact, we could have let it go on, okay? And we stopped it at 2 weeks. Why? Because we said, okay, we've got our answer. And you know what? We could have let it go on. When I look back, I said, well, we didn't know what to do. We were just excited, like something beyond space and time touched us.
Right. This reminds me so much of, because I'm like always with dowsers and at the dowsing conventions and that. And it's always, you have to have that perfect, you have to write it out, what you want. And that's why it only works part of the time. But this so parallels that. Yes,
absolutely. Just as beautiful that we want to know by active pH sensors in this space. And then look at this. All right. So here's the thing. That space wasn't even Tiller physics. And I put an arrow because it was just still going up. The Buddha relics are way over here,
Right.
I mean, it's just awesome. So,
do those Buddha relics stay at that temple in Minnesota, or they're traveling?
They're traveling, but the relic tour ended 2 years ago, And they're now with Lama Zopa. Lama Zopa is the heart disciple of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama. And so they're housed. And the idea is this, that a new Maitreya Buddha statue is being built in Kushinagar. Kushinagar is where the Buddha passed away.
Okay.
And the idea is this Buddha is one of the tallest statues, if not the tallest statue. I think it's 250 meters. I could be wrong. I can't remember. It's huge. And the relics would be taken there as a group, put in the heart center so it can radiate love throughout the globe. I think I just say, because of the pandemic, I believe the project is at a standstill right now. Because I check periodically and it isn't finished. I think it's so necessary.
Yes, I do too.
Okay? It is so necessary. So we're saying that the Buddha relics are not even at ordinary R-space Tiller reality. They're this is an avatar.
Right.
So in thermal energy terms, if we had to do thermodynamic calculations, 2.5 pH unit means that room is more than 700 degrees centigrade temperature, but it wasn't burning up.
Right. Wow.
You can do calculations, okay? This is straight on thermodynamics. No, what happens is that Buddha relics bring coherence, information to the vacuum of that space so new manifestations occur. Wow.
Wow, it's right.
Okay. It is very robust. In that space, Carol, we had so many testimonials of people healing, a kidney dialysis patient. And I called that nephrologist to verify, because I'm a doctor and I say, oh, come on, you can't just heal your kidneys and never need dialysis again. No, I don't think so. So I called this physician, Dr. Kabere, and he said, no, it's a miracle. I don't know. A 79-year-old gentleman on dialysis, statistically speaking, we should not see complete healing.
Right.
And this man came to our home for 3 days. I remember he had a catheter for dialysis. You know, they have it in his arm. And he looked really pale and sick, but his wife would bring him. He wanted to be there.
Wow.
He didn't pray for anything. He wasn't. He just
was
loved
just in the
being
space.
there.
Yeah.
Just to be in the space. And so many people said, my emotions lifted, my back pain went away, my shoulder healed. I mean, just went on. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Carol. The better question is, did your consciousness evolve?
Right.
The physical is the weakest link, the coarsest, to anything in our universe.
Exactly.
The invisible blueprint is the consciousness. So directed consciousness and love can be imprinted into an object, be it a Tiller device or a Buddha's relic. Okay? Let's compare them side by side. Here is Buddha's relics, historical Buddha, and Tiller device. This relics are a very specific and very high, like the Rolls Royce of devices.
Now, I want to clarify for people. So when the Buddha passes, these are left. Are these like
the ashes?
These like little pearls or something?
Right. They were sifted through, and they still survived. In fact, there are more and more and more. Okay. Oh. So they multiply. There are rainbows around them. Again, I had pictures. I haven't put them. Yeah. If you do not revere them, they'll disappear.
I see. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
They're really. Oh, wow. Got chills on that one.
Yeah, they multiply. Okay. So these are the blood relics. They're very powerful. That's why I say, look at them. They're a gift. We honor them. For me to bring this to your audience is not a small thing. You have asked me very specifically, Carol, And you have said again and again, I love the picture of that band. That tells me take time, show them, because they hold this in a special way. They'll be blessed. Mm-hmm. Just by having this in your consciousness, you're changed forever.
Right.
So the relics are a very high Rolls Royce, you might say, of a device. And the tiller used to say, Nisha, we're like the Henry Ford car. You know, in future, you'll make better and better devices. And I remember saying, I don't know what you mean, but he was right, you know, the Henry Ford car. And I think in the book, I put a Pagani car. Pagani is a very, very high-end Italian roadster. It was a fun thing. I was... Anyway, so the Buddha's relics are wrapped and protected. They're kept in these little containers in this case, which has a kata, scarf, and designs that are really sacred. Okay, they're kept and put properly. And the tiller device, we wrap in aluminum foil, you know.
Right.
It was transported from city to city on an airplane or a van that takes it from Minneapolis to New York, to all of these cities. It came to Los Angeles, to Manek home. And tillers, again, in a FedEx airplane sent to Plymouth, Minnesota for its express. I mean, you can see the parallels here. Right. To me, it was like, yeah.
Now, did this have anything to do when the Dalai Lama came? I think it was 2010 or 11. Was that part of that?
So the Dalai Lama, when he came, do you mean to the Mayo Clinic?
No, he came to, I went to Washington. I think it was 2000, for 2 weeks he was, and he visited Obama.
So he gives initiations in many medicine, Buddha initiations, other initiations. So it may have been part of that.
Yeah.
I have been with His Holiness in 2012, just after the paper was published. I was with Dr. Tiller, and we met His Holiness to give him a copy of the paper in the Kurukula Buddhist Center in Boston. At that time in Boston, the relics were also there.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So His Holiness does these tours. They're not necessarily with the relics, but I can tell you that was quite an amazing event. And I remember saying to His Holiness, consciousness is not in the brain, because he sponsors a lot of the brain research. And I think he does that because this is where we are in our technology, and he respects that. And I think that's fine. Tiller comes from that's why I said top-down science.
Right. Well, the brain is the hardware, and the mind and consciousness is the software.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So this hardware can be rebooted, okay? Mm-hmm. So meditation is part of that. Discipline, contemplation is part of that. So I think the brain research has helped us understand, just like you do biceps curls and you build the muscle. Mm-hmm. If you meditate and do loving kindness, your frontal lobes are bigger.
Wow.
And they bypass the amygdala, which is the reptilian brain. Mm-hmm. So if you're angry, you can hold just for that crucial 1 or 2 seconds and reboot to have a different response.
Right. Wow.
Now, the relics of the Buddha, when we were in that cathedral space, you could see that as the people came into the room, their faces changed.
Uh-huh.
So this was very quick. You didn't need therapy. You didn't need to lie down on a couch and take medicines or anything. It was very different. This is healing of a very, very high kind.
Exactly.
Okay. So I think this is information medicine of loving kindness. Okay. Mm-hmm. So not to make small of brain research. It is absolutely essential. What I'm saying is consciousness is not in your head.
Right.
We're looking at a very different vital point. And that was the point I made to His Holiness.
Okay. Well,
that the relics are
it's been an hour already.
Huh? It's okay. Let's keep going. We're towards the end.
Okay.
We want to finish with the invisible architect, which is where you come from, Carol. Yeah. I hope that's okay.
No, that's fabulous. I just wanted you to know, because last time you had an appointment.
I want to finish, round it out because.
Okay, good.
Good.
Okay,
thank you, Carol.
continue.
So the point I was making to His Holiness was, it is important to note that the relics were right there at the Kurukula Center in Boston, that we have the vital clue to the question of consciousness, that it is not locked in the human body.
Right.
He nodded. And His Holiness is very playful. And he gave me a firm pat on the arm, and off I went. So he met his Dr. Tiller and gave him a scarf, many pictures, particularly with Lama Zopa. Lama Zopa, the heart disciple, said, yes, it is important to understand the relics. And it's not necessary to disintegrate them or break them or look. People ask me, what's the chemical composition? Who cares? Exactly. I told you, it doesn't matter if it's a device of a plastic thing, which has the imprint of the Buddha's relics.
Right.
This is the one I have. That even since the relics came to our home in 2010, 10 years later, it is still fully imprinted.
Wow.
And I think it's because it's connected and tangled, to use a physics term, with the original relics. It's not separate anymore.
Right.
This is my, you might say, artificial relic, okay? It's my Henry Ford type, but... So here's the other thing. How stable is these items, right? The Buddha's relics are still with us 2,600 years later.
Wow.
And multiplying. Tiller's device actually is like more than a year now, okay? At that time, he said, Nisha, for sure, our devices hold the imprint for more than 6 months. We can do experiments on them. We can change the pH of water. We can change the human enzyme alkaline phosphatase. We can make new, happier fruit flies. We can do all of these things. So it comes down to the physical vacuum is the link. Excuse me. Is the link from the material things to the immaterial things, that the potential of creating new things, new architecture, the foundations have to rest in the space. And Tiller found that there is an inverse symmetry. On the upper left is classical physical reality, or direct space, D space as he calls it. And it has a mirror symmetry to the R space, reciprocal space, the mind domain substance, information. That's why you see these wiggly lines. And that's actually more solid than this little dotted house. I put a home, as an example. And it's an inverse mirror reality, okay? And that's why this dotted line is a mirror. You fold itself, it's a mirror symmetry reality. And the more solid reality is reciprocal space. It is more powerful, more energetic, more transformational. That is what changes. This home will change this little dotted thing. You can repair things. And this has happened. Okay. You can wish your broken TV remote well. Reciprocal space is the blueprint of reality. Wow. And look around you, okay? Look around the home across your street, the lamppost, the window, all of this that you see in direct space has its correlate in our space. Think about it. My glass is in our space. So when we talk about space, we have to think in gauge symmetries. I know we have not talked about it. We'll take forever we'll have a week-long conference. But the gauge symmetry are just, a physics nomenclature to describe space, okay? And space is where the force fields exist. And force fields are important for physics because it obeys a conservation law. Mm-hmm. Everything that physics is, or Tiller's physics does, obeys the natural and universal laws. Mm-hmm. We're just going into a higher dimensional space, and the physics laws obey that. Okay? Mm-hmm. We look at it as though it's magic, but it's really higher physics, and it still obeys the laws. So this is where I think, Carol, you and I talked earlier before we got on the call, is that, and this is what Dr. Tiller and Jean did, a very fun experiment. I'll explain this in a moment. Tiller and Jean says, okay, we can really change the physics lab and make water behave in a very specific direction. Can we do this in Arizona, in our Scottsdale home, and regulate the interior temperature of our home?
Oh, yes, this is so
okay.
Good. Yeah.
And so they imprinted a device to hold the interior temperature of their home at 72 degrees throughout the year. And he says, you know, Nisha, we saved on our energy bills.
Yeah, I bet.
I thought, oh, this is fantastic. So this is the UED experiment that your people can do, or you can imprint a crystal. You can imprint things. I mean, the device is useful. There's no question about it. They can buy one from the Tiller Institute. You need a lot of meditation practice to be able to do that. Okay. Right. I just want you to know.
Right.
Another way some people have used the device, just to give you an idea, is that I gave a opening lecture, or it was during the launch of my book in Hamline University in St. Paul. And it was hosted by Master Chunyi Lin. He's a Qigong master. And a lot of the audience know about these subtle energies. They were very interested in my work as an MD, and, you know, working with subtle energies with Chunyi Lin. Wow, you know, maybe we'll learn something.
Right.
And some of these folks came up to me and said, when we do Qigong as a group, could we capture that amazing energy and information in our room into a device and use it? I said, bingo, you got it.
Exactly.
Because once you're having a group dynamic, it's very multiplied.
Right.
Tiller, you often has 2 or 4 people in that table, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you can do one person, but it's hard. If you have a group, you really pump it up. And Tiller says, we're creating sacred spaces all the time. We're creating them, and then we come back the next day, we pump it up. We come back the third day, we pump it up more and more and more and more. And that's how sacred spaces are created.
Well, you have the observer effect. And then if it's just an individual, the difference with the group observer effect, it's a whole different dynamic.
Oh, yeah, it is multiplied. And you're making me think about the double slit experiment by the observer effect, that, you know, when you shoot electrons, you know, when you have measuring instruments, the wave pattern is very different than when no one's observing it. It's very odd, and physics has never really quite reconciled that. The double slit experiment. And Tiller, you know, has the opinion. I know we're a little bit off track here, but it's very interesting. He says, you know, those slits, Nisha, those are our space. The things that go through that are not being directed. They think it's the same slit, but it's not. The human intention has affected that. So just as an FYI.
Well, that's something to really reflect on. Okay.
Okay, so space becomes very important. Not just material things, it's the space. Mm-hmm. So what's this cartoon show us? And this is the George's garage effect. Tiller says, okay, imagine somebody in his garage tinkering with, you know, a machine that really is extra energy machine, 100%. Right. Because any machine is less than 100% efficient. Okay, it's just the rule of physics. We lose some all the time. Mm-hmm. We lose it to entropy.
Right.
We lose it to disorder and friction and all those. That's entropy. So he says, imagine somebody in his garage lovingly working on this invention night after dinner. You know, he goes into his garage, tinkers with this, tinkers with it. And over a couple of years, by Jove, his machine actually works. And it is 100% effective and energy efficient. He's so excited that he calls his friends, okay? And he demonstrates it, and he says, the friends go, oh my God, this is amazing. We could create a company and make lots of money, all right? Because we want to solve the Earth's energy crisis.
Right.
But one of them wisely says, we should really have it independently looked at by a different lab, okay? And this inventor agrees, George agrees, and they take it to this independent lab in the next town, and it doesn't work. Were the conditions the same?
No.
No, they were not.
Well,
because
this reminds me of Keely.
He had pumped up his space in his garage.
Exactly.
In his space, this machine will work.
Right.
That's the key. And you know, I have seen this, and I'll give you an example of where this has happened. And I've raised this point in medical conferences. When you are going to study a very talented healer, okay, a master healer, and the NIH has done this kind of work, they want to take the healer out of their environment and then stick them in a lab in the NIH, and it isn't the same. And they call it a failed experiment, but the healer had no chance to pump up the space in such a short time, unless you're Buddha. I guess Buddha could do it, or somebody. But these experiments fail again and again. But if you go into their healing centers, into their office space, it's very different. And people often say, when I come into your room, I feel better. Wow. You haven't said a thing, but I feel better. I look forward to coming and relaxing into your space.
This reminds me of John Keely, you know, and all of his inventions. And then they all called him a fraud. And I mean, but it was him and his space once it was taken out. Yeah.
It is not fraud. A lot of these people have been misunderstood and didn't have the equation of the space. Exactly. And I told you it's invisible. And you really need to have sensitivity, and you need to have pH meters, and it's a lot of stuff. And you need to have good mathematics. You need to know Fourier mathematics. You need to know thermodynamics. And in our super specialized world, and people are not interested, you know, they go into here and they want quick fixes and all of that. But this demonstrates that human intention works.
Right.
And it won't fail you. You are the creator of new things. And we will get there if we can make that decision collectively, not to fall asleep. So here, George, with his heart, you know, pumps into his space, direct space, lifts it to reciprocal space. There's greater energy, and rare events are more probable, which looks like magic. That's all it is. So intention works in your home. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner where you are. Right. Okay? Heal it. Use a device or gather. Matthew's teaching, where two or more are gathered in my name, there am I also amongst them, right? In their midst. It's a biblical teaching. So with love, go into your home space, into your office space, into your NICUs and hospitals and clinics. We can create these spaces, not just with pictures and plants. Those are essential, fine. But the actual physical vacuum can be pumped up. And you can reduce negative side effects of medicines and chemotherapies and all these meters and things. This is why I think Tiller unlocked something quite amazing.
Yeah.
The Power of the Buddha's Relics, that paper, I know, Carol, you got a copy of it from my website, nishamanekmd.com. It's still there. I've been meaning to switch out for another
paper. That's good. You said it was going to disappear, so I quickly got it.
It's still there. I have, you see, the thing is to get the proper, website up and about with my
Right.
my web designer. So all of these are things in the cog, and I think it's meant to be up there still or something, because it is there. It's still peer-reviewed paper, and it's rare for this to come about free like this. So get it, or post it on your website. Okay, I'm happy for that. It's free.
When I send out about the talk and that, and at the video, I'll put it on there.
Yeah.
The link.
Now, talking about talks and all that, I am going to be speaking on an integrative medicine summit. It's free. I'll send you the link. It's not put on my website yet. It has to be done by my web designer. I'll send the link to you, Carol.
Okay, perfect.
And it's from October 24th to the 26th. So next week, actually.
Yeah.
And I speak on the power of human intention to heal. Perfect. I cover very briefly the Tiller physics, but I actually unlock the 7 steps to setting a powerful intention.
Okay.
It's not something I've ever done before, because I felt it was a distraction, but now I realize it's not a distraction. People don't know how to, go into their heads or into their hearts and really look at what they want deeply, and to how to write it out and how to surrender the outcomes. And so I've put 7 steps in this talk. Okay. Perfect. And I'll send you the link. So that's put it on your website.
I will.
Yes. So it's free to register. The summit is completely free. And my talk, I believe, is on the Saturday, which is whatever date it is. Okay. Let's see, 27. Yeah, I thought it was on a Saturday. Well, anyways, one of these days, Carol.
I was just looking. The 26th is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
October 24th to the 26th.
Oh, 24th.
Oh, wait, it's the 24th is coming up next week, Carol.
It's Sunday.
Okay, then it's a Sunday. Yeah. Boy, I better send it to you now. This is it. So much is going on. All I know is I'm speaking, okay? And I better, and the host is in Sydney, Australia. Very, very amazing person. And it was geared towards rheumatology. I'm a rheumatologist, rheumatoid arthritis. And Clint Pattison, his name is Clint Pattison, is the host. He is the host. He has my book, and realize, wow, this is beyond just lifestyle and vitamins and probiotics. I need Dr. Manek, and he contacted me, and I said, absolutely, I want to spread the word that I think people are more powerful than they think, and this is a step in that direction too. So anyway, I'll send you the link, and please feel free to put it on your website. Yeah. And I better get cracking on my website. But anyway, thank you, Carol.
Thank you. This was just brilliant. I have to go back and listen again. So, but thank you for these 3 interviews. I think they really help people, and, several have the book now. So it's good.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol. You've been so generous to me. I really want to say how delighted I am. I'm just myself, and I'm flailing my arms about. And
that's why we like lively interviews. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
See everybody next week.